The whole earth belongs to God, and He has programmed things in the system and attached time and seasons to everything. How deep have you known God? How clear have you understood His ways? How did you search out His method? You must realize today that He is God and can use anything to show forth His glory. Have you ever wondered how food could come from heaven to feed the Israelites as they journeyed in the wilderness? Have you ever wondered how God used a donkey to correct and draw the attention of a seer? Have you ever wondered how He was able to feed thousands with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? This should also point to you that because He is God, He would bless you, and there are different methods, ways, and means at His disposal for Him to use to bless you. He is always blessing men, but the way He blesses someone might not be the same way He would use to bless you. The methods might be different, but He would bless you. We would examine some of the ways God uses to bring blessings to His people. As high as the heavens is from the earth, as wide as heaven is, so also is the wisdom of God. It is beyond comprehension, it is beyond understanding. You can't always dictate to God how to be blessed, but in all things He would bless you and make you a blessing to your family and your generation. He would always do it in a way that you would marvel at His ways. Some of the ways God uses to bring blessings to His people. 1. God can use men to bring your blessing. 2. God can drop uncommon ideas to blessing you. 3. God can use non-human creatures to bring your blessing. 4. God can use words from His prophets to bring your blessings. Blessings via men. One of the ways God can use to bring your blessing is by positioning men to bring the blessing. Know this clearly, that men are God's method, men are God's way, men are the system of God to carry out His biddings. When it is your time to be blessed, God would use men to bring that blessing to reality. He would put those men on burden until they meet that need. So, when God wants to bless you, He can bring the blessing your way by using men as instruments and channels to bring the blessing. This was the way God used to bless the people of Israel when they were leaving Egypt. Exodus 12, verse 33 through 36. The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the land because they thought, "We'll all be dead." So the people picked up their bread dough before the yeast made it rise, and their bread pans wrapped in their robes on their shoulders. The Israelites did as Moses had told them and asked the Egyptians for their silver and gold jewelry, as well as their clothing. The Lord made sure that the Egyptians were kind to the people, so that they let them have whatever they asked for. And so they robbed the Egyptians. Using the people of Egypt, God blessed the people of Israel with gold and silver. He made the Egyptians willing to release whatever the Israelites asked for. When God wants to bring your blessing using men, He makes them open to deliver and give you whatever you ask for. But if it is not the way God wants to use to bless you, no matter how you ask, request, or beg, it won't be given to you. Uncommon ideas. Another way God can use to bring your blessing is giving you uncommon ideas that would bring the blessing you have been waiting for. The idea he would give you might look stupid or unheard of, but because it is the way he wants to bless you, once you do it, your blessing would come to you. This is what happens when God wants to bless you. He would reveal to you a system or an idea that once you follow it, you would have your blessing. Israel, Jacob, has been cheated severely by Laban. Notice that he even went through the farm and removed all the spotted flocks so that Israel, Jacob, would not have any spotted flock, but the idea was from heaven, and heaven had to come to his intervention. Relax, God would give you an idea that would bring your blessing. Non-human creatures. When God wants to bless you, He, being God, can use any way to bless you. And another way or means He can use to bless you is by using non-human creatures. He created everything and they are under His control. And when He wants to do anything with them, He can. He uses this to prove His sovereignty over all things. Nothing is too great or too little for God to use to bring the blessing your way. Eli was a man who had this experience severally. He was on a journey and was very hungry, and there was no way he could get anything to eat in the wilderness. But God, who is mighty and knew everything, sent Raven, a bird, to feed him, and also, at some point, angels were sent to bring him food and water. This is God working. He can use whatever He wants to bring the blessing your way. 1 Kings 17. Another interesting account of God using non-human creatures to bring blessings and make provision happened during the time of Jesus. Jesus and His disciples were questioned if they were paying tax, and they not having money on the physically, but knowing that God can use anything to bring the blessing, He asked His disciples to go to the river, and the first fish they catch, they should open the mouth. They would find money to pay tax for both Him and all of them, and it happened just like that. When the disciples went, they caught the first fish, and when they opened its mouth, money was there equivalent to the amount they needed to pay the tax, and that was what they did. You should not look down on the things God created. He made them, and they are all good before Him. And if it's time for your blessing, He can use any of it to send the blessing your way. Keep believing. Prophetic utterance from His prophets. Another way God will use to bring your blessings is by prophetic utterance by His prophets. Several times when you need His blessing or help for anything, He would direct you to meet His prophet, and whatever such man says would be backed by heaven, and you would see the blessing coming your way. Such was the case of many in the Bible. There was a wife of the prophet whose husband was indebted before he died, and the creditors wanted to take her 2 sons away. But she quickly went to the prophet, and he asked her what she had. She returned with a jar of oil. He asked her to borrow more jars, and from that one jar fill the other jars. This was how God wanted to bring her blessing, and when she went, got more jars, and began doing what she was instructed, all the jars were filled, and she was able to sell it and settle the debt. Isn't that God's way? Several account exits like this in scriptures. Men were stranded and needed the blessing of God, and when they met the prophet of God, via such utterance they got their blessing. Simply believe God, you would have your blessings. It could come in various ways and forms because our God is dynamic and is not limited by the system as we are. He is in control of all things and can use them to prove his power and supremacy. He will show you the way. He will bless you soon.